Operating model. An operating model is both an abstract and visual representation, model, of how an organization delivers value to its customers or beneficiaries, as well as how an organization actually runs itself. Definition. There are different ways of defining the elements that make up an operating model. An organization is a complex system for delivering value. An operating model breaks this system into components, showing how it works. It can help different participants understand the whole. It can help leaders identify problems that are causing underperformance. It can help those making changes check that they have thought through all elements and that the whole will still work. It can help those transforming an operation coordinate all the different changes that need to happen. An operating model is like the blueprint for a building. It is more dynamic than a building blueprint, with changes occurring regularly. Also, an operating model is not usually just one blueprint. There are likely to be blueprints for each element, processes, organization, decision-making, software applications, locations, and so on. An operating model can describe the way an organization does business today, the as-is. It can also communicate the vision of how an operation will work in the future, the to-be. In this context, it is often referred to as the target operating model, which is a view of the operating at a future point in time. Most typically, an operating model is a living set of documents that are continually changing, like an organization chart. An operating model describes how an organization delivers value. As such, it is a subset of the larger concept business model. A business model describes how an organization creates, delivers and captures value and sustains itself in the process. An operating model focuses on the delivery element of the business model. There are plenty of disagreements about the use of the words business model and operating model. The term operating model may have been first used in corporate-level strategy, see history below, to describe the way in which an organization is structured into business divisions, what activities are centralized or decentralized, and how much integration is required across business divisions. The term is most commonly used today when referring to the way a single business division or single function operates, as in the operating model of the exploration division or the operating model of the HR function. It can also be used at a much more micro level to describe how a department within a function works or how a factory is laid out. The section below, titled Business IT Dialogue, explores one framework for thinking about the IT implications of different corporate strategies. An operating model is one of the tools that leaders can use to help them formulate and execute strategy. Typically, work on an operating model starts after some strategic plan has been proposed. It translates that plan into operating requirements and decisions, and often also contributes to the plan by showing areas where the plan will be hard to implement. A framework for thinking about the transformation journey from strategy development to successful outcome. The strategy journey lists the operating model as one of 5 models that help leaders navigate through different stages or phases, from leadership and motivation, business design, value creation, business architecture, and business transformation. In this framework, the operating model describes how the organization will implement the strategies and tactics that have been defined in the mission model, business model, and value model. Through work on the operating model, leaders can think about the capabilities the organization will need to successfully transform. An operating model can also be used as a tool when an organization is facing performance challenges. The model can help with the diagnosis, what is causing the performance problems, and with the solution, what needs to change to correct the problems. However, probably the most common use of the operating model tool is to get alignment between managers in different functions or divisions about how they are going to work together for the benefit of the whole. When designing an operating model, Andrew Campbell, director of the Ashridge Executive Education course Designing Operating Models, recommends that the work starts with creating a value chain map. This is a way of laying out the work steps needed to deliver value to customers. It shows the different delivery chains and how they are linked together or need to be kept separate. The second step is to create an organization model based on the value chain map. The organization model shows how the different value chains are structured into an organization and includes the support functions, such as finance, HR and IT. The value chain map and the organization model are two of the core diagrams of the operating model. Additional maps and charts are often needed. For example, an operating model will typically include an IT blueprint, locations maps, a supplier matrix, people models, decision grids and other elements such as a scorecard for assessing performance. The particular set of documents created will depend on what the operating model is being used for. There is no generally accepted set of charts, or at least there is no agreement yet about what charts make up an operating model. The operating model canvas is a tool that displays an operating model on one page and suggests a set of charts and tables that should be created to define a high-level operating model. As conditions and strategies change, operating models need to change. Business architects, who typically help design the target operating model, ensure that change is managed in an orderly way. Technology, such as digitization, big data analytics and robotic process automation are some of the causes of operating model change. Operating models also change to accommodate new ways of working, such as agile or work at home, new people, especially leaders, new capabilities, new geographies, new suppliers and other reasons. History. Origins in corporate strategy. The term operating model has been used in corporate strategy to mean what Lynch, et al., of corporate strategy describe as the relationships among the businesses in the corporation's portfolio and the process by which investments will be determined among them. Corporate strategy grew out of the research of Harvard Business School professor Bruce R. Scott, who developed a model of the stages of corporate development. He traced the evolution of a firm from stage I with a single product, or line of products, to stage 3 with multiple lines of business, markets and channels. Following this work, Leonard Wrigley and Richard Rumelt developed ways of classifying company structures and comparing their strategies. They identified 4 different operating models. The nomenclature evolved, but the categories survive. Some implications of the choice. Service orientation operating models. Operating models have become popular with service organizations, looking to improve processes to deliver greater value to customers and/or beneficiaries. One such operating model is the Service Operating Model Skills (SOMS) framework. SOMS is an operating model focused on the service sector. SOMS stipulates the expertise needed for people creating and working with operating models. The framework consists of 7 elements. SOMS was created by the Center for Service Management in the School of Business and Economics at Loughborough University in response to requests from trainers and instructors in the service sector, and is based on academic research from the Center for Service Management. Business IT Dialogue. The MIT Center for Information Systems Research, CISR, a research group at the MIT Sloan School of Management, suggests that an operating model is useful to guide IT investment decisions. IT investment must support the operating model. Ross, Weil and Robertson found that an organization with an operating model reported 31% higher operational efficiency, 33% higher customer satisfaction, and a 34% advantage in new product development. In the book Enterprise Architecture as Strategy, they outline 4 operating models. Operating models inform the appropriate level of business process integration and standardization to deliver the organization's promises to stakeholders. The operating model informs IT leaders about how various technical and business components should be designed and implemented to enable the chosen operating model. Coordination and unification models benefit more from consolidated views of customer and data across the enterprise than do diversification and replication models. Industry standard operating models.